Hey guys, Sam here with GarageHammerTactics once again, and today we're looking at the Imperial Fists. Now, before we start, I've been told by Sean, as he is the Comrade Director General of this channel, to keep the waffle down, so I will try my hardest to not waffle as much throughout this video. So what intrigues people about the Imperial Fists? I personally never used to like them. They used to be the Legion I used to make fun of as they were the most boring. But then a friend of mine, I used to play Alpha Legion, he used to play Imperial Fists, and then at some point in our lives, we switched armies. He started playing Alpha Legion, so I thought, you know what, I'll start playing Imperial Fists to get back at him. So, we just we switched armies, and then I ended up with the Imperial Fists army, and now I've had them for about 3 years. And they slowly, over time, when I got to know what they're about and their lore and how to play them, they became, they're probably in my top 5 legions now. Obviously, I'm a Chaos player at heart. I've never owned an Imperial army until now. But yeah, Imperial Fists, they surprised me. Apparently, I'm boring as well. Okay, let's get straight into the rules then. Okay, so that as they are a Legion, they get Legionaries Astartes special rule. Okay, and then they have Discipline Fire. Units of special rule may add +1 to their ballistic skill when using bolt guns, bolt pistols, heavy bowlers, and quad heavy bowlers. When firing the bolt component of a combi heavy weapon, heavy support squads with a special rule also gain tank hunter. Yeah, it's really strong. Okay, it means you're more likely to get more hits with your bolters, which means you're going to be forcing more saves. So even Terminators fear ballistic skill 5 bolters. Okay, and as you can see there, we get tank hunter on our heavy support squads. I love to run 8 missile launchers with flak missiles, with a master of signal, then a hitting on 2s. I've got tank hunter, and I've got 8 strength 8 AP free shots. I'm even going to be wrecking land raiders potentially with that. So it's an overall really decent skill. Okay, next up we have blood and honor. Models with this rule may not choose to fail morale checks. In addition, Imperial Fist characters must issue challenge in combat if they are able to. Their control player chooses which character makes the challenge where one or more character is involved. Okay, when fighting in challenges, models with Legionary Astartes Imperial Fist special rule must reroll failed hit rolls of 1. Okay, so we can't ever choose to fail challenges. Not challenges. We can't ever choose to fail morale checks. So we can't ever do our weapons of users. Not too bad though, it doesn't really come up. Okay, but however, we must always issue challenges. Yeah, it's not too bad. It is what it is, but we do get to reroll 1, so we want to be in challenges anyway. And, I think it's a bit, we have a very good shooting aspect, and then this gives us a bit of potential in melee. So you should always equip your sergeants and your characters appropriately. Okay, then we have unshakable defense. Models of Legionary Astartes Imperial Fist special rule are immune to pinning when claiming cover, fighting from fortifications and barricades. Yeah, this is a very fluffy rule. We're the masters of defense. And the fact that we're immune to pinning when behind barricades, walls, buildings, etc. Very fluffy. Okay, there is a slight caveat with that, and it comes on to Dawn's rules, but we'll get into that salt-filled rant when we get to Dawn's rules later. Okay, and then we have the bitter end. In missions which would normally have random game length, the Imperial Fist player's opponent can opt to play a full 6 turns instead of the roll to end the game being played. Okay, yeah, it is a caveat. We always have to play full 6 turns, but again, I like to think it's very fluffy. We don't break. We are the wall, and therefore we would play the full 6 turns. Okay, so that's the rules. Okay, next up we have the Legion-specific war gear. Okay, and the first thing we have is the prototype war gear Vigil Pattern Storm Shield. Okay, and what does it do? Well, Vigil Pattern Storm Shield offers the bearer a 3+ invulnerable save, where the bearer may never clear an additional attack with being armed with 2 close combat weapons. Any Legion Terminator or Terminator armor equipped independent character with Legion Astartes Imperial Fist special rule may exchange their combi bolter for Vigil Pattern Storm Shield for +15 points if equipped with standard Terminator armor, or for +10 points if equipped with Cataphractii Terminator armor. Okay, it was FAQ'd to state that standard pattern Terminator is either Indomitus or Tartarus, so you can get Tartarus Storm Shield equipped Terminators. Personally, I don't think that should be a thing, because they shouldn't be able to do it. They shouldn't be all singing or dancing. It sort of removes the whole caveat, the downside of Tartarus Terminators. But there we go, that's life. The one point I will make is it says specifically Legion Terminator, any Legion Terminator, i.e. the Terminator unit, or Terminator armor equipped independent characters. Yeah, a lot of people online will say that the way it's worded implies command squads. No, command squads aren't Terminators. They're a command squad in Terminator armor, and it specifically doesn't state that. Now, I know a lot of people, I'd be all for it. I'd be more than happy to have command squads with storm shields, but that ain't the rules. Loads of people argue and say, oh, well, tournament organisers allow it. I'm like, okay, brilliant. Tournament organisers allowed you to win the game on a 2+. Okay, that's fine. That's their tournament. It doesn't make it in the rules, though. So, from a game perspective, rules as written, no, you can't do it. It's unfortunate. Like I said, I'd love for it to be a thing. Unfortunately not, though. But yeah, Vigil Pattern Storm Shields, awesome bit of kit. 3+ invulnerable save, so strong. And we're one of only 2 legions that get access to these sort of shields, us and the Salamanders. All loyalists, traitors don't get it. And it's very powerful. Okay, next we have the Solarite Power Gauntlet. Okay, and what does we get for that? It's a range melee, strength ×2, AP 1, melee mastercrafted, unwieldy. Okay, so we're essentially getting a mastercrafted Power Fist. Okay, and it can be taken by anyone that can take a Thunder Hammer. We can replace it for the same cost. Yeah, so it's basically we get our own Imperial Fist styled Power Fist, and we get mastercrafted. Yeah, not too bad for the extra 5 points. It's cheaper than if you gave mastercrafted to a Praetor, 15 points. So on the whole, not a bad shout. Hey, I was a bit annoyed when we had this and then the Custodes got it, because it sort of removed a bit of our flavour. But what can you do, really? It's still a really good weapon, and I would say you want to at least be giving it to some of your characters. A good old combination I've seen is a Praetor with a Solarite Power Gauntlet and a Storm Shield, because there's a fair chance that even though he goes last, he's going to be tanking those wounds made by the enemy Praetor on his 3+ invuln. So when he then puts the hurt back on the way back, he's rerolling ones in a challenge, and he's got mastercrafted, so maximum chances of hitting. So yeah, really good weapon. Okay, then we have Teleportation Transponder. Any Legion, any Imperial Fist Legion Terminator squad or Imperial Fist Legion Command squad equipped with a Terminator armor may have the Deep Strike rule for plus 15 points for the squad. Any Imperial Fist independent character in Terminator armor may have the Deep Strike for plus 10 points per model. Okay, so remember what I said earlier about how people would argue that, it's the way it's worded? Well, here it says specifically any Legion, Imperial Fist Legion Terminator squad or Imperial Fist Legion Command squad equipped with Terminator armor. So that's why I'm saying you can't give Command squads Storm Shields. Okay, yeah, this is really good. We're, again, one of the only legions that get access to deep striking Terminators. Okay, and this makes our Terminators even more punchy. Okay, and then also giving it to our independent characters means that we can drop down, a massive threat along with a Praetor, 10 Terminators with Storm Shields and a Praetor down in their lines. There are many ways in which you can get it so that they won't scatter, and that's a big threat your opponent has to deal with. Okay, next up we have the Illustrious Pattern Assault Cannon. Okay, so it's range 24, strength 6, AP 4, heavy 4, rending, and malfunction. Okay, and at this point, malfunction, if you roll 3 out of the 3 dice as ones, then you can't use the weapon for the rest of the game. Really good weapon. The only problem I would say for Imperial Fists is we don't get enough of them. We can only use them with our Terminators. Terminators can exchange, I believe it's the Reaper autocannon for a assault cannon. Yeah, if it was like Blood Angels where we could spam them on absolutely everything, I'd say, go nuts, take as many as you can. But the fact you can only take them on Terminator squads, I don't think they come in enough. You can use them in enough numbers to really make a difference. So, use it if you want, but I don't think it's going to win you many games. Okay, next up we have our Rites of War. Okay, so the first one I talk about is the Stone Gauntlet. And now this is obviously a fan favourite. Everyone uses this one, and it's a good reason, for good reason too. Okay, so Phalanx Warders may be taken as troops choice for a detachment using this Rite of War. Very nice. Okay, Resolve Stone. Any model with this attachment to Legionis Custodian's Imperial Fist Special Rule, equipped with either a boarding or a storm shield, who is in unit currency with 2 other models who also fit his criteria, getting a +1 toughness bonus. This bonus may not be claimed if the unit the model is part of has made either a run move, a charge move, or a sweeping marb move in their current player turn. Shield Charge. Any model in the detachment with Legionis Custodian's Special Rule, equipped with a boarding shield or a storm shield, is in unit coherency with at least 2 other models who also fit these criteria, gain a Hammer of Wrath special rule. Okay, limitations. Compulsory troops for detachment use this Rite of War must be made out of Legion Breacher squads. Detachments using this rite of war may not deploy models using the Deep Strike special rule, and units which must deploy by this method therefore may not be chosen. Detachments using this rite of war can not take more elites and fast attack choices in total than they have troop choices in a detachment. So, for example, a detachment with 3 troop choices could take 3 choices made up of fast attack, elites, or a combination of the 2. And with the exception of Legion Champion type, detachments using this rite of war may only take a single console as part of their HQ choice. So that's the rite of war. What do we think? Pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, toughness 5 everywhere. Breaching Marines for days, Phalanx Warders, it's everything you expect from a fluffy Imperial Fist list. If I had to critique it, I'd say the fact that you're limited to one console type other than the Champion and you don't get to Deep Strike does sort of make some of our war gear pretty redundant. And I'd say that being able to, the fact that we've got to have our compulsory choices made up of breacher squads, I'd think it'd be fluffy if we're made up of breachers or Phalanx Warders. And then you could have an army of Phalanx Warders, which are obviously the Imperial Fist specific breachers. And I think that'd be really cool. Okay, next up we have the Imperial Fist Unique Rite of War, Hammerfall Strike Force. Okay, so effects, landing force. Phalanx Warders may be taking a troop's choice in attachment using this Rite of War. Teleport array. Teleport transporters may be taken by any infantry unit with the Legion Star's Imperial Fist special rule at 15 points for the squad and 10 points for an independent character. Blinding luminescence. Units deployed by a Deep Strike via teleportation gain the Shrouded special rule from the moment they are placed on the table until the beginning of their next player turn. In addition, every unit within 12 inches of line of sight and of the Deep Striking unit must take a blind test at the end of the phase. The limitations. Any vehicles taken in the army must begin the game held in reserve, and the army may not include fortification detachment or an allied detachment. Okay, so what do I think of this? Straight away, you can't take a fortification, so it's not really an Imperial Fist Rite of War. Yeah, it's the problem with these. These all came out in Book 6, and I thought, on the whole, the Rites of War that came out in Book 6 were pretty poor. They were, I understand from a fluff point of view that they were, you're cool. The Wordbears one, you can make a whole army of Gal Vorbak. This one, you can have a whole Imperial Fist Force deep striking in. But for what it gives you, it's just not. If it didn't say you could hold vehicles, they must begin the game in reserve. You could take a Damocles Command Rhino, stick it down, and then have everything within 24 inches not scattering, and that'd be, perfectly fine. But it's the fact that this landing force, you're just going to be prone to deep strike. People can see it coming. Take augury scanners everywhere. It doesn't flow as well as say the Dark Angels. Not the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels. It doesn't really flow that well, and I don't think as a whole it's a very good Rite of War, and I don't genuinely see people use it. People just tend to go for the Stone Gauntlet. Okay, next up we're going to go into Legion specific units. However, before we go into that, I just want to make a special mention to our Terminator squads. Now, our Terminator squads are our 3rd Legion specific unit, but it just hides in plain sight. Hey, Matt, just tell me if you can think of any other Legion that's bare bones Terminator, can deep strike in, can take a 3-up invuln save, and can be armed in Tartarus armor, so they can run sweeping advance, but they've got a 3-up save. They can become toughness 5, and then they have the ability to deep strike. Although they can't be deep striked if they have toughness 5. So I think our Terminators are some of the best Terminators in the game, simply for their durability. And they're not they're just normal Legion Terminators, but it's what we can upgrade them, and that's why I think they are our hidden 3rd special unit. It's also why I think we haven't received any Huskarls, we haven't received any Legion specific Terminators off Forge World. Next up we have the Templar Brethren. Now these guys are the precursors to the Black Templars, and I think they are cool as anything. Just the way that they run around with robes, swords and a pistol in a world in which you have volcano cannons and warlord titans. It's quintessential 40k. Okay, so what do we get? 175 points for 5 guys. A bit pricey, but let's see what they have. So war gear, they all have artificer armor. They all have a power sword, a bolt pistol, frag and crack grenade. So normal read loadout, but artificer armor is pretty nice. They all have the normal weapon. They all have a normal marine stat line, apart from they have weapon skill 5, and they have 2 attacks each base. So with that sword and pistol, they have 3 attacks each, so 4 on the charge. So quite a large amount of attacks. Okay, They can be upgraded though, so you can any of them can take a combat shield. You can give them plasma pistols. You can give them a Nuncio Vox. Hey, and then you've got your chapter champion. Now your chapter champion's got 2 wounds, so he's already almost at the level of a Legion consul. Okay, he can be given a Solar Power Gauntlet, or any normal, or a Thunder Hammer, or any power weapon. So there's your source of AP2. Okay, this is AP3 unit. Okay, also, I forgot to say, they've got Furious Charge. So on the charge, they are Strength 5 power swords. So they're good at deleting power armor. But yeah, sometimes you're going to come into clash, you're going to come into contact with 2+ armor saved individuals like yourself. So you want some AP2 in there. And definitely, I'd recommend giving your sergeant a Solarite Power Gauntlet. Because, you know, it's mastercrafted to standard. And you get that strength 8, you want some, you could potentially be killing other consoles or even a Praetor if you're lucky. So yeah, definitely. Now, as the Templar Brethren as a whole, I think really good unit, really good at what they're designed to do. I'd like to think they got more, or I'd like to hope that, in the future they might have got more access to AP2. But we've got Terminators for that, so just pick what you want to, plan your charges accordingly. Go after like an assault squad. 5 of these guys will tear through a 15-man assault squad. I've seen it happen. It's brutal and it's glorious. Okay, next up we have the Phalanx Warder Squad. Okay, now the Phalanx Warder Squad tended to be a bit crap towards the first days of the Heresy, but they did receive a nice FAQ about February 2019, and it made them a lot more viable. Okay, so that's the rules we're going to be reviewing today. Okay, so what did we get? Well, we've got a normal Marine stat line. Okay, Sergeant gets an extra attack and an extra point of leadership. Okay, they are just essentially breaches. Okay, but it's the upgrades you can give them. Okay, so they get the special rules. They get hardened armor. Happy days, they're a breacher. Okay, and they get shield wall. Okay, shield wall is when they are charged, they gain +1 weapon skill. Okay, combined with the fact they also get counter attack, means that they want to be charged. Okay, you're stealing their charge bonus because they've got defensive grenades having shields, and then they're getting the charge bonus they stole off their opponent. So really nice, really strong combination. Okay, and they're 190 points for 10, so they're even cheaper than a base squad of breachers, which makes them really nice. But again, with that, the caveat is you need to know what to do with them, because I've seen people try and throw these into squads of Terminators. I've done it myself, foolishly, and it just doesn't work. They are not Terminators. They aren't all singing or dancing. They are Breacher Marines with a bit more of a combat edge. Okay, and that's reflected really well by the fact they can take power axes. A whole squad can have power axes. I tend to just sprinkle power axes in thereabouts. Okay, and again, that sergeant wants a Solar Power Gauntlet because it's mastercrafted. You reroll it once, you've got a challenge anyway, so you're giving you maximum chances of getting those hits in. But yeah, really like Phalanx Warders, especially how the Forge World fixed their rules. Okay, they're really good, and they work really well in the Stone Gauntlet because, toughness 5 everywhere. Also, I should point out before we move on to another unit, they're really good for sort of passive buffs to characters that join them, because their shield wall also applies to any character that joins them. So you could essentially have a weapon skill 7 Praetor, or if you put Dawn with them, Dawn would be weapon skill 9. Okay, next up we have the Imperial Fist specific characters. Okay, and we have some really strong characters here. Okay, not like when I reviewed the Word Bearers and I said their characters are all pretty terrible. Okay, we have some really strong characters. Okay, and this first comes in the form of Alexis Pollux, Captain of the 405th Company of the Imperial Fists, Master of the Retribution Fleet, and the Crimson Fist. Such a cool name, the Crimson Fist. Okay, so what do we get? Well, he's 165 points, not bad for a Praetor. He's weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, toughness 4, wounds 3, initiative 5, attacks 3, leadership 10, and 3+ save. Okay, straight away, we love a bit of salt here. Why has he not got Artificer Armour? He's a Praetor. He should be in Artificer Armour. He should be in Hardened Artificer Armour, really. Okay, what do we get with this? Okay, it's Void Hardened Power Armour. Yeah, we've already spoken about that. Frag and Crack Grenades, Iron Halo, Mastercrafted Power Fist, Vigil Pattern Storm Shield, and a Combi Melter. Okay, so you can tell this guy's a beast because he's wielding a Mastercraft Power Fist and a Storm Shield, and he ain't in Terminator armour. Okay, he's also got a Combi Melter, but a good lock of fire in that. Every time I fired it, because I'm only ballistic skill 4, it's rolled a 1 or a 2, and then it's just missed. I'm like, why is he not ballistic skill 5? I don't know. But, you know, he's still a really good character, but we'll get onto that in a second. Okay, so special rules. He's got Legion Stance, Imperial Fist. He's an independent character, Master of Legion, Void Commander, Hammer Blow, and he gets the Master Tactician trait if he's the Warlord. Okay, so let's see what the rules do. Void Commander. Okay, he can basically opt to pass or fail any morale checks or pinning tests that require that he or a unit he joins is required to make. So he's pseudo fearless, which is pretty awesome. Okay, in addition, one infantry type unit with Legion Stance Imperial Fist special rule in an army containing Lexus Pollux may gain a Deep Strike special rule, notice being teleportation where this is a factor in the type of game being played. Okay, so, you know, if you've read that like I have, he can give himself the ability to Deep Strike. So he could be the Warlord that Deep Strikes down with his blob of Terminators and Cataphractii armor with 3+ invuns, and then they'll just go and wreck face. Yeah, really strong. Okay. Annoyingly, he's strength 5 and toughness 4, so you want to take him as a stone gauntlet because he has a shield to become toughness 5, strength 5, really strong. But then you're missing out on the ability to be able to deep strike because he doesn't, you know, that's not a thing, sadly. Okay, Hammer Blow. Again, this is probably one of my favourite rules in the Heresy. Okay, at the start of any assault phase, Pollux controlling player may opt to lower his attacks characteristics to 1, but in doing so, it ignores the unwieldy special rule for his power fist for that phase. Note this would still mean he receives 2 attacks on the charge. Yeah, awesome. So he charges in, he gets 2 attacks, you declare a challenge with his strength 10 AP2 Mastercrafted Power Fist. He's rerolling 1s on the charge, he gets to reroll one of them, so chances are you're going to get both hits off. I mean, what are we looking at? 4s if he gets another Praetor? But that is strength 10 at initiative. So they'll be hitting back at you at the same time, but you've got a 3+ invuln that you can it can just bounce off, even if he is using a Paragon Blade. Yeah, it's such a good rule. You know, that high strength at initiative is just going to absolutely destroy other Praetors and characters, unless you come across someone like our next character, in which case you haven't got a hope in hell. But you shouldn't be facing another Imperial Fist player because that's heresy. That is full-on heresy. And that brings me nicely on to our next special character, who is the original Black Templar and the baddest, most powerful Astartes in the entirety of the Horus Heresy setting, and that is Sigismund, the first captain of the Imperial Fists, the martial champion of Rogel Dawn, the master of the Templars. Yeah, what a boss. Hey, so he starts off at a whopping 230 points. Sean seems to think that's too little in points for what he does. I disagree. You know, I think he's probably, you know, appropriately costed. Okay, so what do we get for that? Well, he's weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 4, initiative 5, attacks 4, leadership 10 with a 2+ save. Okay, so apart from the weapon skill 7, he's pretty Praetor level. Okay, war gear. He's got Artificer armor, frag and crack grenades, iron halo. He's got the black sword, his own special Paragon blade, and he's got mastercrafted bolt pistol. Okay, Legion special rules. He's got Legion Start Superior Fist special rules, so, you know, he's going to be issuing challenges. But trust me, you want to issue challenges to this guy. Okay, he's an independent character. He's a master of the Legion. He's Eternal Warrior. Big one in Heresy. He's fearless. He's got Adamantium Will. He's got the Dolorous Fighter, Death's Champion, Precision Strike, and if he's the Warlord, he gets the Slayer of Kings Warlord trait. Hey, he is awesome. Like, you know, I just, you know, I am, especially after reading the most recent Siege of Terror book. I won't spoil what happens, but yeah, there's a big scene with Sigismund in it, and he is a boss. Okay, so Death's Champion. If Sigismund is present in any detachment, then that detachment may take Templar-driven squads as troop choices. Okay, that's not actually Death's Champion. I've just read that ahead, but that's a nice little handy because Templar Brethren are awesome. Okay, Sigismund, any unit he joins with Legion start his Imperial Fist special rule, gain +1 initiative when they charge and may re-roll both failed charge distances and sweeping advance rolls. Okay, so on a charge he's initiative 6, which means Praetors aren't going to beat him. He's far too fast. Okay, and any unit he joins gets +1 to their initiative when they charge, and he can re-roll both failed charge distances and sweeping advance rolls. So I think he's perfect to go into Templar Brethren, which, you know, would make sense. He is the head of the Templars. You know, initiative 5 Templars, re-rolling charges. You know, this guy is a combat beast. Okay, then we have Dolorous Fighter. Okay, Sigismund, must issue challenges where possible. But yeah, that's normal. That's an Imperial Fist thing. Okay, when fighting a challenge, Sigismund attacks have the instant death special rule, and successful and vulnerable saves taken against his attacks must be re-rolled. And this is where he makes him. This what makes him a cut above the rest, because Ralderon is going to die to this. He hasn't got Eternal Warrior, instant death, and he's got to re-roll those successful and vulnerable saves. Callus Typhon, Abaddon, Sevatar, even Sevatar with his new rules on both the Crusade Black Book, I don't think is going to match up to him. He is incredibly potent. Yeah, he's got the Black Sword. Okay, it's Strength +2, AP2, melee, and two-handed. So he's Strength 6, so wounding most Marines on 2s. Yeah, he's hitting on 3s with his weapon skill 7. However, he's re-rolling 1s in a challenge, and he will always be in a challenge because of all the buffs he gets. Yeah, and then he has his Warlord trait, Slayer of Kings. If Sigismund is the army's Warlord, then should he slay the enemy Warlord in a challenge, his controlling player gains +1 victory point, and all models in Sigismund's army add +1 to their combat resolution scores in assaults for the rest of the battle. Yeah, it's a good strong Warlord trait, and you're going to be looking to slay the enemy Warlord. Yeah, this guy is best placed at a Land Raider with some Templar Brethren, or I've seen people run him with 10 Cataphracti and a Spartan. Either way works for me. You just want to get this guy in combat as soon as possible because he is going to tear through the enemy lines. And obviously, +1 combat res for the rest of the battle is pretty decent. So yeah, nothing really you can say about Sigismund. For 230 points, he's a pretty awesome character. I mean, personally, I would say give him more attacks, but that's just me being a fanboy. I think he is perfect. I probably couldn't change him because people fear Sigismund more than they fear our Primarch. But don't worry, we'll be getting onto that in just a second. So that brings me on to the final character of the Imperial Fists, and I just want to give you a salt warning now. We have Rogel Dawn. Now, I promised the other guys, Tom and Sean, that I would try to be less salty with my rants. However, I can't help myself with this. Where the other two characters were amazing, Dawn sort of flat, lands flat on his face. But we'll go into that in a second. Okay, so Rogel Dawn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, the Vigilant, the Blade of the Emperor, Praetorian of Terror, the Unyielding One. So what's he like? Well, he's 385 points, so he's on the cheaper side for Primarchs. And what do we get for that? We get Weapon Skill 8, Ballistic Skill 5, Strength 6, Toughness 6, Wound 6, Initiative 5, Attacks 4, Leadership 10 with a 2+ armor save. So far, not too bad. Okay, special rules. He's got Auric Armor, Storm's Teeth, the Voice of Terror, Teleport Homer, which has now been FAQ'd to be a teleportation transponder. He's got Frag Grenades. Okay, he's got the Primarch special rule. He's the Sire of Imperial Fist. He's got Sundering Blow, Unshakable Defense, and Bulky. So let's look at his rules. So let's look at his war gear first. So he's got Storm's Teeth, Strength User, AP2, Melee, Shred, Rampage, Reaping, Blow. Okay, we know what Reaping Blow is, or for those that you don't, it means you have -1 initiative at all times, but if there's more than one model next to you, you get +1 attack. So his weak attacks of 4 become 5 if he's outnumbered. Okay, and then we've got the Voice of Terror, range 24, strength 5, AP4, salvo 3/5, rending. Okay, what on earth are they playing at, Forge World? It's rending. It's not rending. Yeah, it's rending. That's a good thing. It's salvo, which means if Dawn fires it, he can't charge. Okay, it's a heavy bolter. When you're floating around with Primarchs that have AP1 like wizard weapons, you've given the Praetorian of Terror a heavy bolter, and it's a salvo weapon. You couldn't have made it a cool pistol or even an assault weapon. No. So, as with all other Imperial Fist players, it never gets fired. Maybe on Overwatch, and that's the only time I've ever seen it used. Okay, Storm's Teeth, Strength User. If you look at the size of the weapon, it is it's almost the size of a Marine, and it's Strength User. Sanguinius has got a one-handed sword that's half the size of his body that gives him +1 strength and all these special rules. This is what I mean. Salty. I did say salt and flow incoming. It just annoys me that his chainsword seems to be weak as piss compared to Sanguinius' sword, and now the Lion's got a chainsword, which is better. Okay, it's got Rampage, so you can get a lot of attacks if you're outnumbered, but we all know what happens. A Primarch goes to fight another Primarch, and in that, Dawn loses every time. Okay, so let's look at his special rules. So he has the Crusade and Furious Charge special rule. So on the charge, he's strength 7 with his chainsword. Okay, all models of Legion starts Imperial Fist special rule. The same army as Rogal Dawn. He uses leadership value rather than their own for purposes of morale checks and ping and test while he's in play. Okay, that's not too bad. His leadership 10, so that's a good buff on your army. Rogal Dawn and any model with Legion on its Imperial Fist special rule add D3 to their assault result to determine who wins in a combat while this model is in play. Yeah, this is a really good rule. Like I said, there are some perks to him, but, you know, your Imperial Fists, realistically, you should be shooting the army off the board. It's very rare that you need to be in combat, apart from, you know, Sigismund, but you shouldn't really be running Sigismund and Dawn in the same army on account of they hate each other. Okay, Phalanx Warders and Legion Terminator squads may be taken as troop choice for an Imperial Fist primary detachment with the Rogal Dawn as its warlord. 9 times out of 10, you're running Stone Gauntlet, so having Phalanx's Warders as troops, you're not, you know, it's not really a rule. It's just it's just an ism. And if you're not running Stone Gauntlet, you're not taking Phalanx Warders, quite frankly. Terminators being troops is fine, but you can get that from Pride of the Legion. So these rules are okay, but, you know, something a bit more inventive could have been done here. Okay, Sunder and Bow. At the cost of halving his number of attacks, round down after any bowing attacks for Rampage have been rolled for, Rogal Dawn's controlling player may opt to increase the strength of his attacks by +2 and grant the attacks the instant death special rule. So let's do some math here. So say you roll perfectly. You've got 4 attacks base, +1 for charging, 5, +1 for reap and blow because you're outnumbered, 6, plus D3 for Rampage, you get 9. Because you roll the 3, or you roll a 5 or a 6, so you get 9. So you get the 3 maximum attacks. Half that, it becomes 4. So you get 4 attacks at strength +2. So he charged, so he's now at strength 9 with his two-handed sword, but he gets 4 attacks. So, yeah, they're instant death, but what realistically are you doing? It's, I'd rather, made it strength times 2, AP 2, and unwieldy. Fine. Or, you know, it's just better rules writing, because other Primarchs have got so many better rules, and this isn't a problem with when the Legion was written. Dawn's had a rules update since the Imperial Fist first came out, and this is still the rules they've given him. Okay, Unshakable Defense. If Rogal Dawn is the army's warlord, then after deployment, before the game sets up, the control player may select up to 3 fortifications and or pieces of terrain sufficient to provide a cover save. Cover saves of 1 and ping test taken by the models protected by this terrain feature or fortification may be re-rolled. Now this is the quintessential salt. Imagine this as like the Black Sea salt. It's like 50 pounds for a bottle of it. Fortification pieces having re-rolls of 1 is fine. But why have they given him a rule that affects his whole army and says that they may ping tests may be taken, may be re-rolled behind fortifications? The entire army is immune to pinning whilst in fortifications. So why has Dawn got a role that allows you to re-roll pinning checks when you're you're immune to pinning? Bad rules writing by the 4-year-old writers. It should be, I wouldn't even go say it would be too broken to say that they're fearless behind cover while Dawn's on the board, and then leadership 10 doesn't need to be there. Simple rules fix, but this is a completely redundant rule. And I'm surprised it hasn't been FAQ'd, because it doesn't come up, because your entire army is immune to pinning when in cover. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got the Auric Armor. 2+ save, 4+ invulnerable save, and essentially it means that you can't be wounded on better than a 3+ regardless of their weapon strength, which, is really good. Okay, third to all these rules, the Aos Dios. Okay, the Aos Dios is his personal Storm Thunderhawk gunship and can be taken in any game of 3,000 points aside or more. It doesn't take up a Lord of War slot, and it has its own special rules. I think it gets a flare shield. Okay, you'll be taking it for fluff reasons. If you want to play a specific time of game, which is fine, absolutely. It's a nice little buff, but it's neither here nor there really when you're reviewing Dawn's rules. So, as a Primarch, I'll let you make your own decisions, but I have tried to make him work on so many different occasions, and I would rather take Sigismund every day of the week. I really want to like Dawn. But he just doesn't do anything. Other Primarchs from book 1, completely go cover that. They wipe the floor with him. He just hasn't got the the capability, unfortunately, that you would expect from a Primarch. And I'm not sure what Forge World are going to do to fix him, especially when you read the books and he is an absolute beast in the books. It's just my salt rant over for now. So yeah, that wraps up my review of the Imperial Fists. And, what do I think of them? Well, I'm a bit biased here because I played them, but I think they're a really strong legion. Even though the book came out as one of the first legions, I believe they were in book 3, and they are now in book 9. They've not had a real sort of improvement on the rules or anything since then. A couple of FAQs, they still really stand the test of time, and I think that's great. Great rules writing. They have a very unique feel to how they play. And, I think they incorporate, or rather personify, that defensive playing, which is really good. A couple of tactics I like to do that some people might find cheesy is I buy into the fortifications. You can take a fortification as part of your Age of Darkness army list. And I take usually a bunker. I'll stick 8 guys in there. I'll give it a void shield because, why not? I'll give it an ammo crate for rerolls of 1. And then, I'll fill it with missile launchers. I think I can take 8 off the top of my head. 8 can see through the extended windows as a special rule of the bunker. 8 guys, Master of Signal. That's 8 guys hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and then Tank Hunter. And okay, cool. It is a bit cheesy, but it is like 400 points to do this. 400 points for a fluffy addition to your army. I don't think that's too bad. I mean, you can still get around it. You can still, charge it. It just sits there, and it can't move, so you can definitely get it out of line of sight. But it's definitely a big threat that they have to deal with, and it, being a bunker, it's so Imperial Fists. That's just my personal. I know some people like to run full Land Raider lists with Stone Gauntlet. That's also fine. I've not seen too many Assault Squad based lists of Imperial Fists. Most people I know don't tend to hammer on the combat, even though they do have some pretty punchy combat units. We tend to just see shields and Terminator armor. But, that's fine. That embodies the Imperial Fists, I think. If you have other ways you like to play Imperial Fists, let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe. Okay, I'm sorry the content hasn't been as high as usual, but we're currently facing our 3rd lockdown. We've all had to go back to work after the Christmas period. So we haven't been able to get content out because we can't play any games. Sad for you guys, and it's definitely sad for us. But I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you for now.